Hello to all my friends and family, and welcome to this episode of Jim's 5am Club. Today I've come to you from a different location and with a different message of empowerment. I'm here down in central Parramatta by the Parramatta River, and as you can see I'm over here by the weir, by the wharf. It's late afternoon and I've been overwhelmed with the bouquet from those jasmine flowers down there in that garden. Just beautiful. A beautiful spring afternoon on a Freedom Week, after which we've hit our 80% and the freedoms will be coming and flowing to all and sundry. What I want to do is just go on a walk and talk and have a talk to you about a book summary that is entitled How to Do the Work by Nicole Le Pera. An interesting book, as I said, How to Do the Work. There's a bit of a fish in there just going crazy, just pretty interesting. But an interesting book that'll take us on a journey where we discover from this author's perspective how to get through life and how to deal with childhood trauma. So where do we start? The author kicks off this book with a quote where she says that the familiar feels safe, that is, until we teach ourselves that discomfort is temporary and a necessary part of transformation. This book here, I guess, is all about revealing to us how we can grow and develop, and the only way we can grow and develop is that we need to let go of the past, and we need to basically allow ourselves to feel some discomfort. And the comforting message is that discomfort is only temporary and it's a necessary part of our growth and development. So the basic message is to basically embrace discomfort and to see it as a necessary part of our growth and development. The author then goes on to talk about something else which is quite profound, where she says that an impaired relationship between our mind, body and spirit can alter life's quality and bring about unwellness. So the key message from this author is that we need to have an alignment. We need to be in harmony with our mind, body and spirit, so that our values, our goals, our actions, everything is balanced and aligned rather than being, I guess, out of kilter. Because what she alludes to here is that if we don't have balance, if we don't have an alignment of mind, body and spirit, then it brings unwellness, which is an interesting way to see things. So this book is all about healing, but taking a holistic approach to healing, where we incorporate the major elements and bring them together as one. So the first major point to come out of this book, the first formal point to be put forward by this author, is that we need to be able to look back over our lives and identify and heal our childhood traumas. Because childhood trauma, according to the author, and I guess we all pretty well much understand this, plays an important part in our healing process, being able to recognise and deal with childhood trauma is key. Because what happens is that when we're young and we're growing up, childhood is a part of our lives where we form our predominant traits, beliefs, and our personality. Now, we were all young once, and we all knew that when we were about 7 or 8, that we basically were pretty clever. We had our character sorted out. We knew what we liked, what we didn't like. We knew which friends we enjoyed, and we basically had a worldview. So what the author here is reminding us is that most children, if not all, but most children definitely have already figured themselves out and are displaying traits, beliefs, and personality. These early years in our growth and development shape and define our entire journey. So the inputs that we have when we're growing up as children, the parenting, be it good parenting, be it average parenting, the friends that we have, the experiences that we enjoy, the illnesses that we undergo, and basically all the world events that occur to us when we're growing up shape our view of the world. So our parents, our schools, our friends, our families, our communities can influence in a big way how we see the world and how we grow up in that world. But what the author reminds us here is that sooner or later we lose touch with our true selves, which makes us feel numb and trapped when you don't feel that you are connected to your true self. And a lot of people grow up and spend many, many years defending themselves, being in self-defense, being in survival mode, all because of some of the trauma that has been unresolved from those early childhood years. The author here makes a very sound point, and she says that in order to heal, we need to go back to our primal wounds. We need to go back to those days, to those episodes where we were wounded as children, and learn how to cope, to reframe what happened, and to recope and experience and get over them is the key point. The next point that comes out of this book is where the author talks about disarming our survival system, and it's necessary for a complete healing. We need to be able to disarm and get over it, I guess, is the key point. Because the way we're wired, the way we're figured out, is that when people are threatened, be it a real threat or an imaginary threat, we go into the fight, flight, or freeze natural instinct, where our body has surges of adrenaline. We have cortisol building up, which creates more stress and more anxiety. So chemically, we are overwhelmed because of our thought patterns and the way we see and the way we remember and the way we recall our past. So this loop that we get into and we stay in is an impairment. It's a damaged self, according to what this author is telling us. Because our amygdala, that part of the brain that scans the environment for dangers, is overwhelmed and overused. Not because there are real threats, but because we have imagined those threats and we've carried on those threats, that pain, that suffering from the early years of our lives, where we were traumatized and we haven't dealt with that trauma. So in order to disarm our survival system, the survival system that the author talks about, what we need to do is we need to manage our fight, flight and freeze response. So the way we do that is that we need to take a step back. We need to think less. We need to engage mindful breathing. We need to try and get restful sleep, and to focus on our diet, and to basically let go of the pain, and to give yourself a chance to heal. The next point that the author makes is that in order to heal, we need to establish healthy boundaries in our lives. And healthy boundaries can be the basis of forming good relationships with ourselves, with our friends, with our families, and with everybody that we interact and connect with. You can create a better relationship with yourself and all of those around you by establishing empowering and useful boundaries is the key message. There's no problem or there's no issue with knowing what your limits are and expressing and communicating them in a way which allows those around you to understand where you're coming from. Because what it is that it's a sign of emotional maturity, where you can speak to people and tell them what your boundaries are. And you can prioritize these boundaries without feeling bad, is what the author is saying. And there are a number of boundaries that we all have in our lives that we need to establish and we need to communicate and understand. There are things called physical boundaries, where you can explain to people where those boundaries are. Some people, touchy-feely, like hugging. Other people don't like hugging. So it's important, if you're a person who doesn't like to be hugged, touched, have people in your personal space, then there's no problem by clearly articulating what your boundaries are to others. Other sort of boundaries that they talk about here are resource boundaries, such as money and time. There's no shame in telling people that you can't afford something or you don't have time to do something, because once you've communicated it and explained it, then people will respect you more because they know where you're coming from, I guess, is the bottom line. There are also things that the author talks about in terms of emotional boundaries, where we all have feelings, beliefs, ideas that we need to express and communicate so that people know where we stand. And by knowing where we stand, hopefully they can respect that and not cross that line. So there you go, another book summary, another afternoon that we've had an opportunity to share some time together where we can walk and talk. The book that I've just gone through is entitled How to Do the Work by Nicole Le Pera. And she, I guess, gave us an opportunity to understand from a holistic perspective how people can learn to heal and learn to deal with the challenges that they may have inherited or adopted from early childhood, and to look at ways of letting that sort of stuff go and just getting on with life. So thank you once again for joining me on this episode of Jim's 5am Club. It's a tricky topic, but it's all good because we get to learn different perspectives. We get to learn how different people operate, what may be challenging other people, or challenges that we may have ourselves that we haven't quite thought about. But it gives us an opportunity to delve into our lives from a scientific perspective using OPE, other people's experience, so we can learn how to deal with these things and to hopefully become better versions of ourselves. Thank you very much for joining me, and I look forward to coming to you again from a different location with a different message of empowerment, where we can be partners in each other's growth and development, where we can live, learn and pass it on, and enjoy what we have left in our lives. Take care, everybody. Wishing you all the very best, and we'll chat again. Bye for now.